What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the smithy. Today, as always, I have a fun project, but it's an extra fun project for a specific reason. So this is obviously, as the title suggests, a Lambda Chi armorsmith project. A while ago now, a brother out of the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology contacted me asking me to make them something. And we came to agreement. I said yes, and I am making ceremonial swords for their chapter. And I've never made swords before. I'm gonna be working with brass. I'm gonna be working with another maker to make part of the sword. I'm doing things I've never done before, a project I've never tackled remotely. And I'm really excited because it's my first swords and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I've already got the blades produced. You don't get to see those, unfortunately. And it's really just because I don't have a shop that's exactly set up for doing precision blade work like that, not at least on a larger scale like these swords. So I had a fellow armorsmith friend of mine, Matt Aaron, whose page or website I will link in the description, got with him and we worked it out. He's made the blades and they look fantastic. I'm not showing them to you yet. I'm gonna wait until basically the final reveal to let you see the full thing. But so what I get to do is make the brass guard, make the grip with its design on it, make the pommel and make sure it all fits together and holds together. And this is gonna be a challenge. This is, it's a ceremonial sword, but it's still steel and brass and wood. It's all the, right materials. It's gonna be, if you sharpen the blade, it should be a battle grade sword. It's probably gonna be a bit too heavy for that because we haven't paid attention to those parameters since it is a ceremonial sword, but this is gonna be, for all intents and purposes, a real sword, if not a poorly designed one as far as battlefield functionality, but it's going to be a really beautiful ceremonial sword. And I guess I should say they are, because there are two of them. They're twins, with only basically a slight difference between them so that they can be mounted and displayed and look really cool. But that's today's project. So I think we're gonna start with the brass, working on the brass cross guards. I will try and throw up some of the still renders. The first thing I did was actually designed the piece in Blender, a 3D model, and then printed it out. And that way I could test to make sure that my design would work. I moved the camera there because 3D model is actually right here. So the thing that Matt used to make the blades was based on my 3D model. This is obviously this isn't the full blade version. This isn't exactly what I'm making. The real version has a full proper length blade, but I was kind of limited on how big I could print on my 3D printer, and I also thought that the broken blade version looked cool, so all I needed to do was print this so that I could test the functionality of all the pieces going together. So the real ones will have a full length blade. This one just has the really cool, broken blade look, so I could test it and make sure everything fit together like it's supposed to. So this is what I started with, and I think now we're gonna jump into making, this is the final guard, and this is its core element that I have to make out of brass. So got some big hunks, some big chunks of brass that I get to grind down and then carve out a slot for the tang and for the blade. Again, never done that before, but I'm gonna do it. I don't care that I haven't done it before. I know enough and I'm clever enough to figure it out, and I hope it looks fantastic. I think it will. I'm gonna make sure it satisfies. I'm gonna make sure that the brothers at the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology are happy. I might not be perfectly happy with it, but then again, I really am never perfectly happy with any of my stuff. But you can tell I'm a little nervous, so I'll just cut my ramblings short here and we can jump into the first bit of me working on the guard. 3.5 hours of hand filing. You saw I started with chisels and used the chisels to get a large quantity of material out, and then come in with the hand files to get the finer shape cut in. Again, I have to thank the United League of Armors. They're the ones that helped point me in the direction of going to Harbor Freight, getting some cheap cold chisels made out of high carbon steel, a few seconds of grinding them to the right shape, and boom, some chisels that work really well. So thanks to them again. But here is the guard with the slot for the tang. I won't show you the blade, but I will give you this satisfying demonstration. Here's the tang. Let me try and hold the phone so it's a little less shaky. So tang, and almost a perfect fit. And now at this stage, I need to, so this is important. The reason I'm doing this is because now I need to take my scratch awl, and the scratch awl will be used to scratch into the brass the shape of the blade that needs to sit down in the guard. Stop holding the camera with my shaky one hand. I'm tired. I've literally just been hand sanding with this arm for the last 3 hours, and this arm is starting to give out. So I will stop with the shaky camera movements, but that is what is next. Scratch the shape. I'll do that real quickly. See if I can get a good angle for you. All right, so better angle. We have my scratch awl. All right, let's see how that looks. All right, let's see if you can see it. There you go. Camera doesn't always pick up metal very well because of the reflective quality of it, but you can see that shape. So that's just with a steel scratch awl. Again, Harbor Freight. Steel is harder than brass, so steel will scratch a very clear mark into brass. So now I have to use the chisels and the drill press, and again the hand files to carve that out so that the blade will sit just a little bit into the guard. But I'm going to save that for tomorrow because I do not want to overexert myself and overdo my hand. I can already feel a small blister forming on my finger from where I held the end of the file, and I don't want any blisters on my fingers while I'm trying to do this work, because that's just going to make this whole process longer, more painful, and sloppy. So let's do a quick cut to, all right, it is now tomorrow. So got to put this in to my special little jig that I built, and then send it over to the drill press back there to start getting just some of the material out, majority of, start getting it out so that it's easier to chisel. So for that, I actually, because this is an irregular shape, it isn't going to really clamp into the drill press vise at all and be stable. I actually built a weird little jig specifically for this. Just some pieces of wood, and I'll show you right here. Very simple little thing to use. Let me turn it this way. Just do this. It's just about as tall as the brass is. And now I need to see, there's this wrench. So it fits right in there, and then all I have to do is open my wrench up. All I have to do is tighten it down. And then this holds it, gives the drill press clamp something, a regular type shape for it to grab onto and secure, so there's no wiggle. But that's basically it. Just 2x4, cut down the middle, then ground out with the new sander right over here to match the profile of the guard, and then got some little bolts and some EVA foam, just some real thin EVA foam glued on the interior so that the brass face doesn't get marred by the wood. So we take this, and bring it over to my drill press. So as you can see, here is the nice regular shape that goes in our clamp. This obviously the guard would have a hard time being secure in here, but with this nice little jig, it can fit in nice and easy. So stopping point for today. I am tired, dirty, and covered in brass, but we have successfully gotten the slot cut. I really didn't have to do hardly any hand filing. The chisels were basically able to get everything out. I definitely will have to clean this thing up. I've got to polish it up and sand it to a relatively high degree. So I'm going to make a lot of the imperfections invisible. But for today, this is a stopping point. Tomorrow we will see about softening the edges on the blade where it's going to fit in, so just to help it out a little bit. But hopefully tomorrow we will assemble a full and finished guard. So exciting. We made a lot of progress today. I am quite dirty, as this hand clearly demonstrates, or both hands. And yeah, I'm gonna go clean up and take a break, and let's do another cut too. All right, so it's been probably about a week since I last worked on it. Just haven't had time. I've been working on other things. But as of now, the slot is fully carved out and fits, and I can show you that. So let us see. I've taped off the blade to show about where the guard should stop. Here, let's see, we can get y'all a better look. So, comes on nice, and there we go. Fits right in. Had to soften the edges up a little bit here and there, but that's all I need. So now, zoom back out, y'all. So now, what I'm gonna do is, unfortunately, I have to run through the sanding grits on these two machines and get this thing polished up to around 400, and then soften the edges, and then I can attach the iron crosses. So let's see, or the brass crosses. So let's see about jumping into that. Shouldn't take too long. It's just the transitions between the different belts takes a second. so the guard has now been sanded up to about 400 grit, and all the edges and corners have been softened so they're not as sharp, can't cause any injury. So at this point, and that might be hard to see, I've done as well for the iron crosses or brass crosses. They've been bent to shape, sanded, and their corners and edges dulled. Might be hard for you guys to see though, because as the metal gets more polished, it is more reflective, so it might be harder to actually see the details on the pieces now that they are more reflective. But the next step is to use JB Weld plastic bonder to attach the crosses to the outside of the guard. Obviously, JB Weld plastic bonder, not a historical technique, but since these are ceremonial wall hanger swords, should be fine. And I honestly haven't found a way to, aside from solvents, I haven't found a way to break the bond that JB Weld's plastic bonder creates. It's incredibly strong and not brittle, unlike a lot of other super glues I've dealt with. Some other super glues that are popular are very brittle. They can't take a big shock. This stuff can take a very aggressive shock, has no problem. And it's also not really elastic like some other high strength adhesives. Some of them, they aren't brittle, but they're elastic, and so if you pull on them with consistent pressure over a time period, they'll give up. It takes a long time, but it will still give up. But unlike all those other adhesives, I found JB Weld plastic bonder is neither brittle and it does not have any elasticity, which means it'll fail. I'm not being paid to say this by JB Weld at all, but I just really love this stuff. It's great. And it has a fast cure time, about 45 minutes at the worst, or at the shortest, and then you can come back and do it again and work on other stuff. So great stuff. Should hold these on there very well, and that is what we're going to do now. I'm going to reposition the camera angle. Alright, I don't remember what the last segment I filmed was. I'm pretty sure it was finishing the guards, because that's what I did previous to this, but it's been so long in getting that made that I've forgotten, and I've been doing so much. So the next step in the process, or the next segment, is to make the grip, the part that we hold in our hand, like so. This is its shape. This is the 3D printed template that I made. And these are some oak blanks that I've cut out to be about the right shape, and I've transferred the design, the shapes, and everything that needs to be carved and cut out onto them. You'll notice they're a little bit longer than the model. There must have been some miscommunication in the production process, and the blade's tang is a little bit longer than I anticipated, but no worries. I just lengthened the grip by about a ½ an inch. That's totally fine, and honestly gives me a little bit more to grab onto, so it might be better anyway. So now it is time to go over to the vise, clamp this in, and then stop shaking the camera. But clamp this in the vise over there and chisel out the inner shape so that it can fit around the tang, and then we'll work on getting the outer shape ground in on the different sanders. So let's go do that. Heyo, it's tomorrow, and tomorrow's the day that we can remove the clamp. This is so important. And ta-da! Wood glue, very good. Nice, strong bond. So now I need to cut out the rough shape. Don't not get exactly close on the line, a little bit of ways, and then I'll come over here to the belt sander and grind it to its outline, and then the real fun begins. I have to go onto this belt sander that has a little bit of slack in it and carve the more detailed contours of it. It's a lot of work, but it'll turn out fantastic. Helps to have power. Covered in sawdust, but after about an hour and a half of time on that belt grinder, and a little hand sanding to finish it off, we have this. Now, that's pretty good by my standards, especially since it's freehand. There's no machining that gets it super precise. It's all by eye and by feel to get it right. But fits, looks good. I'm still not letting you see the blade, but trust me, it looks really good. So I think maybe just a few little touch-ups here and there, but tomorrow we will begin painting the design on the hilt that they want, grip that they want, and after that it's on to the pommels, which are really complicated, but we're gonna get it done. It's going well. So, cut to all right, hard work does pay off. I now have a beautiful finished grip. Now, it doesn't match its brother identically. It's pretty close, reasonably close, but they're fraternal twins, which, given the situation, seems appropriate. Obviously, I don't have it being presented here with the brass guard or the steel blade because I'm not showing you anything until the final assembly and reveal because I want it to be a total surprise. I've tested it, I know it works, I know how cool it looks, and that's why I'm not showing you until the very end because I think you'll really love the final reveal. I hope you do, at least. So, at least from this point of view, you can see the beautiful finished piece. Admire it, because that's all I'm going to do for the rest of the day. Tomorrow I can worry about the pommels, which are a bit tricky, but I'm going to get them figured out. So for today, no worries. I'm just going to enjoy the sense of accomplishment and pride I have in this beautiful finished piece. All right, we've come to it. The final piece, the pommels. The very last piece of the sword. Now, obviously, as I've said, filming this means I've already done one. Meaning one sword is already finished, and it looks amazing, and it's awesome, and I'm excited. But at the same time, I'm really nervous, because even though I've already done this once, this is the last piece. And then I'll have 2 complete swords ready to ship out. And regardless of how good the first one looks, I'm still really nervous. But I'm not going to let that stop me. We are going to, over the next few hours, work on turning a piece of this nice hefty brass into this. So it starts with me stenciling the shape, and then I am going to actually, before I cut it out, I'm going to go ahead and drill the hole, get the hole drilled out in the bottom for the tang. But that's first, so last piece, here we go. We almost have fully completed swords. Alright, now that's done, we have a hole. Let's see if the camera can focus and capture it. Now, let's see. Let me get a better angle. Okay, decent angle. And you might be saying that hole is off to one side of the bar. How does that make sense? It makes sense because this marked section that you can see, that little marcation line, all that's got to go, which is the next step, which has to be done on this down below. So now it is time to get messy and make a lot of shavings. All right, after some grinding, some drilling, and some marking with my steel awl, scratch awl, we have a significantly smaller piece that also has the design etched in. And now from this point forward, what I have to do is take the drill press over there and drill holes to knock out a fair bit of the material, and then I will saw through and take out the rest of the material, and then we sand and grind and hand file it down to the finished form. So next, it is over to the drill press. Now at this stage, all I have to do is one at a time, one hole at a time, drill down and then reposition the brass and go around the entire outline of the piece. And then after that, I will cut between those holes with a little handsaw. I will connect those holes, basically connect the dots with the saw, and then once I do that, it'll let me remove the large chunks of brass and get the general outline. So it takes a minute. I do have to adjust it by hand, but it works really well. One day we'll upgrade it, not today. Today I'm gonna get covered in brass shavings. All right, it's been about an hour and a half since we started the drill press, and the fruits of our labor. It is rough, but you get the idea. After this, I actually kind of like this look. It's a neat look, but not for our purposes. So after this, I need to put it on these various sanders and hand files, and we will get it ground down to this. But not bad for an hour and a half. So next is over here. All right, after about 3 hours of work, we are finally done. So as you know, we started with a piece of this, and we ended with this. I can see its light flashing across the camera lens, but it's nice and polished, which is why it's doing that. Looks quite good and matches pretty well with the original, what it's supposed to be. I'm pretty pleased. So now the very last step is to put it all together. All right, all the pieces are done. Now all I have to do is put them together and show you the finished piece. All right, another project finished. The twin swords of Lambda Chi Alpha Pi Mu Zeta chapter in South Dakota School of Mines and Technology are now finished, and they look fantastic. They're not perfect, but for a project that for me was a project of many firsts as far as things I was doing, materials I was working with, these things are gorgeous. I can't wait to see how they mount them up and display them. I hope to get up there one day to actually see them mounted in person, but for now, I'm just going to bask in their glory before they get shipped out. Big thanks to Matt Aaron, Aaron Creative Companies LLC out in Arizona for doing the blades and doing the engraving on the blades. A massive help since my shop really isn't set up for doing that. Another reason this was a project of many firsts for me, because I'd never worked with someone else to help me complete a project, but Matt was professional throughout all of it. Really good, delivered a really good finished product, and hopefully we'll get to do some other fun projects together. But I hope that the brothers at the Pi Mu Zeta chapter love these and cherish them and keep the blades from rusting, keep them waxed and oiled like they're supposed to. And I'm excited to see what I do next. Now that I have done this, I feel more confident that if someone wanted me to make the actual proper Lambda Chi Alpha swords that you see on our coat of arms, I could do it. So now all I gotta do is wait for someone to ask me to make those. But till then, I just have about another day of trying to take photos and enjoying them and cleaning them, and then Monday they will ship out. So I don't know what else to say. It's been a while since I've done one of these bigger videos, but I'm happy. I love this. This was fun and nerve-wracking and turned out something great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope my camera work was okay. I'm not always the best at that, but in any event, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff that I hate saying. And remember to especially subscribe, because any of my subscribers are going to be entered into basically a sweepstakes. And once I hit 5,000, I'll make something. And one of those subscribers, any of my subscribers, past and present and future, once we hit 5,000, I will pick one, or let a random number generator pick one, and you'll get a prize. Don't know what it'll be. I'm going to come up with a list of things it could be. I think ultimately, you know, remember, the goal is, if that system works well in the future for another big benchmark for subscriber count, I might give away a shield. Heck, I might give away a pair of swords once we get to a really high benchmark. These are expensive swords, and y'all have seen my shield, or some of you have seen my shield on Etsy. Y'all know it's expensive too. So as we get up to those upper levels, those higher benchmarks of subscriber count, I'll start throwing those in the mix for prizes. They don't have to specifically be those. Remember, they don't have to specifically be these Lambda Chi Alpha themed swords or shields. They can be your own personal version of that. If you're not a member of Lambda Chi Alpha, or you just don't want something like that. But anyway, I'm really not sure what else to say other than this has been a long project, very tiring project, but very worthwhile, because it's boosted my confidence in a lot of things I can do. If I can do this sort of thing in this state of a shop, then that makes me really excited for all the fun things I can make once this shop is fully set up. So in any event, I'll stop rambling and let y'all enjoy these final shots. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.